The CLT Life presents Veterans Day 2020 in Waxhaw, North Carolina, and the Waxhaw Veterans Day ceremony at Forest Hill Church.
Waxhaw's Veterans Day ceremony. Normally, as you know, we have this ceremony downtown at the military wall. And we are now certainly very thankful to Foresters Church to allow us to gather indoors here today, socially distanced, as you can tell, and again to honor our Waxhaw area veterans. There are a few portions of the ceremony today that will take place virtually that have been pre-recorded, so we can be viewing them on the screen behind me. Those will come up at the appropriate times. On every Veterans Day, normally, we have 3 veterans who also serve as our volunteer firefighters here. They take shifts from sunup to sundown at the wall to honor the service of all U.S. military veterans. They're able to do so because they are unable to do so this year because of the weather, but still wanted to acknowledge their honorable gesture and hope to see them return next year. If you are in the audience today, I think there's 2 of the 3. I'd like you to please stand and we'll recognize you. Christopher Kanjami. And Ken Osco. Christopher is Senior Airman, U.S. Air Force. And Ken is Petty Officer, 3rd Class, U.S. Navy. Thank you, gentlemen, for your service, and thank you for being here today. At this time, if you are able to, please rise for the invocation led by Waxhaw Police Chaplain Bill Connell, and then the Pledge of Allegiance will follow after that by Cub Scout Pack 53, and the singing of our national anthem by Miss Rachel Suffolk. Sneaking up.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's pray together. Father God, we come to you today. We're thankful for the few that have done so much for so many, both in this country and the oppressed around the world. God, I ask a special blessing on those in the family unit that supported their commitment and their love for country, because without them, we could not have served. Lord, I pray for those who came home differently than when they left, be it from physical wounds or wounds that cannot be seen by the human eye. Father, thank you for giving us the heart of a warrior, but the gentleness of David as he tended his father's sheep. Bless all those who are serving now, who have served or will serve in the days to come. Thank you for the men and women in this room. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Great. Thank you, Bill. All right, if we can have the Waxhaw Boy Scout Pack 53 come down and join us.
Star salute. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that Star Spangled Banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Always beautiful inside and out. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Cub Scout Pat 53, for helping us today. We would like to thank brave young men back there. I'd like to take a moment to recognize if there are any, and it's hard to tell with some of the masks, but I know there's a few dignitaries here, any VIPs. There is certainly Mr. David Willis. I saw him earlier sitting, where are you, right there. He's House Member-elect. So if you can stand up, if you would, be recognized. Now the Hunger Games, right? That's exactly right. Thank you for that. Again, it's hard to recognize from this distance and with the mask on, so sometimes forgive me if I missed anybody, but I think we captured everybody here. We also have Town of Waxhaw Board of Commission members, Pedro Mori and Commissioner Ann Simpson. And I'd also like to recognize this morning all of those who have been an active part of the U.S. military, our veterans, the active duty service members, guardsmen, reservists in every branch, from the Army, the Marines, the Merchant Marines, the Navy, the Air Force, Coast Guard, and our prisoners of war. And also, let's not forget those missing in action. Their service and your service and sacrifices have kept our country safe and free. If you are able to, the active military that are here, those representing the armed forces, please stand up and be recognized for us all. Great. Thank you all for your service. It means a lot to hear to everybody in Waxhaw. Veterans Day, as you can tell, looks a little different this year. Our current state of affairs and the protective measures implemented across the country to stop the spread of COVID-19 have forced us to think creatively to ensure that we stay safe while honoring our nation's heroes. Because honor them we must. Veterans can be ordinary people, men and women like you and me, that left their families, their homes, and their lives for the love of country, patriotism, and sacrifice for the common good, to protect us and our country so we can maintain our way of life. There is no doubt that veterans serve with honor. They serve to make life better for others, they preserve our freedom, and they do so by taking oath in which they express their willingness to die to defend this country and this nation. Their heroism that has been demonstrated time and time again, from the American Revolution to the global war on terrorism, sometimes goes unnoticed by those of us who enjoy the security that their sacrifice has provided. For many veterans, protecting our freedom meant long separations from their families, missing important milestones in their children's lives, freezing and cold temperatures, and enduring the heat in wild jungles and deserts, losing limbs, and suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome. I'd like you all to consider personally honoring a veteran that you know or come in contact with today, whether it be shaking their hand if you're brave enough to do so, and by giving them a sincere thank you, by offering maybe to buy their lunch or wearing a poppy in honor of them. But more importantly, honor them more than just today. Whenever and wherever you see a veteran, show them the respect they deserve. It is our duty as citizens of the United States to repay them for their sacrifice with unending gratitude and respect that lasts forever. Thank you all that have served. At this time, I'm going to introduce Karen Johnson with the American Legion Post 208 Ladies Auxiliary and artist Peter Rubino. And Peter Rubino is a U.S. Navy veteran and sculptor. He has achieved international acclaim for his 12-foot bronze monument, Mother of All Life, located at the Boyko Research Center in the Holy Land, and Archangel, a 35-foot tall monument for the Walt Disney Company. Closer to home, Peter's commissions include a bronze firefighter hero for Scott Safety Corporation in Monroe, the Protector for the Levine Jewish Community Center in Charlotte, and Officer of the Year Award for our very own Waxhaw Police Department. Limited editions of Mr. Rubino's patriotic sculpture, Remembrance, are also located at the Waxhaw Military Wall of Honor and at Stumptown Park in Matthews and the Capitol Building in Hartford, Connecticut. Peter specializes in portrait sculpture and has created busts of actors and legends including Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and Ty Cobb, just to name a few. Most impressive is to see how he creates in just 15 minutes a 250-pound clay portrait of Jesus called Passion in Clay, choreographed to contemporary Christian music. He performed this live for Waxhaw at the 2018 Spring Festival. We are very pleased to welcome Mr. Rubino here today. Karen and Peter, could you please come up?
But we have over 1,200 there now. The stories, Lloyd Pennington, one of our veterans, is getting ready to go on camera again with Heroes Voices. I just want to mention that. So if you would like to have your story told, all those 1,200 have a story, and we would like for yours to be told as well. Now, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Peter, which he's kind of been introduced already. But Peter has become a very good friend of mine, a veteran who has worked hard to help other veterans get through PTSD and other things as you've heard. So Peter, if you will come forward. And he was worried about what I might say about it.
Thank you very much. Rachel, you're blessed with the voice of an angel. And thank you, Lisa, for providing this Veterans Day ceremony. Happy Veterans Day to the veterans that are here and around the city that are watching. No one appreciates veterans more than Karen Johnson. So we want to thank her for her vision, which we know is the Waxhaw Military Wall of Honor. I want to thank her for asking me to create a sculpture exclusively for the veterans in our town. Now, I need a minute to thank a number of folks that have helped me through this process, so I'd like to take a minute to do that, if you don't mind. let's see, we have the Commander David Batchy. We have ranking members of the American Legion, Jim Granger and Ken Rogers, who support this project. Also, Waxhaw Police Department officers, Victor Montalvo, Kevin Gasser, and Mike Scarfone, for actually lifting the statue onto the wall, and they actually saved the day for us. To my artist friend Carrie Cook, who designed the base and mounted the sculpture, and to another good friend and veteran, Walt Adams, for assisting that process. The entire installation was documented by our very own Jim Black and Carol Robbins, and you can see some of those photos on Land of the Waxhaw's Facebook page. Lastly, I want to thank my friends, veterans Jim Knight, Walt Adams, and Steve Rusinko. I truly appreciate your friendship and having my back. I thank you, Larry Cook, who's here today. Appreciate you. So as a veteran, it's truly a privilege to celebrate Veterans Day with you. And I'm humbled by your selfless acts of courage and heroism defending our country in the line of duty. I'm proud to be one of 17.4 million American veterans. However, I'm honored to be part of this slightly smaller community of veterans in Waxhaw. Your solemn oath to protect, defend, and have your comrades back, even at your own peril, is the major source of inspiration for the sculpture. The statue represents that personal, peaceful, sacred, military moment, alone in thought, where fear and hope live side by side. So it is my hope that this creation, titled Reflection, will have a special meaning to you and touch your heart. Thank you very much, and now we can have a virtual unveiling.
Along with that, I've had a request to go a little bit off script, but have a couple of the veterans come up, and I know they wanted a couple of minutes of our time. I'd welcome you both up to the stage if you could right now. Christopher and Ken.
Take off this mask with my terrible grammar and how fast I talk. You put a mask on it, you'd never hear me. I just want to come up here and say thank you to those that are sitting in the crowd that don't really want to put on a uniform because maybe their closet shrunk it or they just didn't want to put it back on. We did this 7 years ago? 5 years ago. We wanted to do something out of the ordinary, yeah, we can stand at the wall, and do what we do every year on rotation. It's been great. The biggest thing is we wanted to tell you guys thank you for allowing us to do this because, everybody has an opinion and they probably don't want us up there, they do want us up there. We didn't really care, we wanted to do something for you guys. So thank you for those that have put your foot down already and made the stepping stone for me, myself, Ken, and my brother Scott. That's not here right now. He's somewhere else. His wife, Karen, I don't know if she's in here. Okay, yeah, I figured she wouldn't make it. But Scott, he would love to be here, but travels and all that stuff wouldn't make him here. With that said, next year we are going to keep this tradition going. If those that are serving and have some time that want to join our watch, you're more than welcome. We'd love to have you. More people, the better. With that said, thank you so much for everything, and thank you for your support.
Morning, everyone. It's kind of hard to top some of the speakers that we've already had, but as we're up here, Chris, myself, and Scott, who's actually is on active duty right now at Fort Bragg, that's why he could not join us today. It's very important that we do not forget the veterans. It doesn't matter what generation, how old they are, how young they are. It's important that we express the gratitude to each veteran that comes back home, healthy, safe, and even ones that need help. Oftentimes people are forgotten when they say thank you for your service. It's usually, sometimes it may just be a gesture that where they may feel obligated to say so. But please take the time to educate our younger generations to know what Veterans Day is and to express their thankfulness for the people who've ultimately signed a blank check to the United States of America to protect and to serve at any given time. My time is many years ago. I was over 25 years ago, I was in the Navy. I got out, September 11th happened, and then they were looking for volunteers. I was fortunate enough to be part of a Marine Amphibious Support Unit and was able to go back on active duty and to continue to serve at that time. After 6 years total time service, I thought it was my time to pass on the torch and turn over a new leaf, and that's why we're here in Waxhaw. But it's very important that, to me, to my kids that are here, that we do not forget what Veterans Day is truly all about. Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. Well, got an audience. All right. So now I'd like to introduce Commissioner Ann Simpson. If she can come up to introduce our guest speaker, Ann.
Thank you, Mayor Pappas. I have the honor and the privilege of introducing our next guest speaker, United States Air Force retired Colonel Donald Cagle. And I would like to share with you some of his extraordinary background. Colonel Cagle offers us a glimpse into the life of service to his country and his fellow man. Now retired from the Air Force, his 30-year career as a pilot with over 3,000 hours in the air gave him many remarkable opportunities. His experiences include flying C-130 transports, WC-130 Hurricane Hunters, and AC-130 gunships. His combat and humanitarian missions include flying weather reconnaissance into hurricanes, involvement in the 1990 Iranian rescue mission, Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm during 1990 and 91, as well as the evacuation of the American Embassy in Kenya in January of 1991. After serving as an instructor pilot and gunship squadron commander, he attended the Army War College in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And following graduation in 1993, he began a 5-year tour at the Pentagon. Colonel Cagle was charged with overseeing programs related to research and development and procurement of United States Air Force aircraft, such as cargo passenger transports, pilot training aircraft, and helicopters for various missions, while serving on the Secretary of Air Force Acquisition staff. The procured aircraft supported combat rescue pilot training, the Presidential Airlift Fleet, transports, and Air Force Special Operations aircraft. When his Pentagon tour was completed, he concluded his service with a 4-year tour as Professor of National and Military Strategy at the National War College, while simultaneously serving as Special Operations Forces Chair at the National Defense University in Washington, D.C. Colonel Cagle's list of distinguished awards and decorations include the recipient of the Defense Superior Service Medal, Legion of Merit, Bronze Star, and the Air Medal, to name just a few. Relocating to Waxhaw in 2007, he retired that same year from his own business as a financial advisor. He has continued his service by being immersed in civic and church organizations, including the Waxhaw Weddington Rotary Club, the Board of Directors for Habitat Humanity, treasurer for his church, as well as currently serving as the commander of the Indian Trail VFW Post 2423. He is married to the former Nancy Rodman of Fair Oaks, California, and together they have 2 daughters and 5 grandchildren. It is my pleasure to present to you United States Air Force Retired Colonel Don Cagle.
Greetings, and thank you for the introduction, Ann. It was a long time ago when I served in the Air Force and retired. You are getting old when you see planes that you flew sitting on a pedestal at an air park. Even my old squadron building, where I was assigned as a Hurricane Hunter pilot, sits on a closed air base and is now a museum. Wow, where has the time gone? Today is truly an honor to join you as a resident, the commander of the Indian Trail Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 2423, and speaker at our great town of Waxhaw. I want to thank Mayor Pappas, the town commissioners, and the Parks and Recreation Department for working around COVID-19 challenges. Unfortunately, I was at lunch the other day with a friend who tested positive and had entered a self-quarantine phase and cannot be with you in person today. However, the town staff has worked hard with alternative plans, allowing us to recognize this Veterans Day. This is a very special day. It is, in fact, a remarkable day as we meet to honor an extraordinary and select group of people. As combat veterans of foreign wars and members of a veterans organization whose primary mission is to serve and care for those who have served, we of the VFW understand that Veterans Day is a day of deep significance. Today, we all recognize and honor the millions of men and women who answered when their nation called. These are all the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and our Space Force warfighters, our newest service, who have served whenever and wherever they were called. Originally created in recognition of the end of World War I, the first Veterans Day was observed on November 11th, 1921 at Arlington National Cemetery. That special day was marked by the burial of the unknown soldier from World War I. More than 100 years later, we still gather on Veterans Day to reflect on those who have fought to preserve the freedoms every American enjoys. And we are so grateful for the thousands of men and women in our military, once again taking up arms against the enemies of our way of life. Why is Veterans Day so important? Well, first of all, Veterans Day continues to be a day of reflection. It is a day when all Americans should take time to consider the legacy of freedom and liberty that has been passed to us. Second, it is a day to think about the awesome responsibility that is ours as citizens of a great nation, and what it takes to maintain this land of the free, this home of the brave. Finally, it is a day to remember the generations of patriots who have bravely shouldered the burden for men. They have served and continue to serve because they know it is necessary for the greater good. Now, more than ever, it is important that we take time to thank the men and women who have served in our armed forces. To those of us who have worn or continue to wear the uniform of our great country, and to our family members who stand just as strong at home, there is no doubt that Veterans Day brings with it a meaningful significance to every American veteran. Veterans Day means much more than just a federal holiday to us. Today, we honor the contributions and sacrifices of more than 19.5 million veterans and service members who have proudly served our country, and all those who paid the ultimate sacrifice in the name of liberty and justice. Every generation of Americans owe a debt of gratitude to these brave patriots, and we must do everything we can to make sure the men and women who serve in today and tomorrow's military receive what they need to accomplish their mission of safeguarding America's interests. After serving their country, there is an everlasting bond that exists between the men and women who have shared the military experience. This bond is why we have veterans organizations like the VFW and the American Legion, where we can gather, tell war stories, and care for one another. This social interaction is so important to help prevent the terrible suicide rate among our veterans at about 20 per day. There exists a shared sense of duty and a common belief in a cause higher than self. Our nation's veterans chose to serve, and by doing so, assumed all the risks associated with maintaining freedom. There also exists a shared intensity of dedication to the idea of freedom and to the ideals of democracy. There is an understanding and respect for each other because each realizes they have contributed to the greater good. There is an understanding and shared knowledge of the value of their deeds. They understand the true essence of America. For those of you that study world history, you know that our country is like no other. Ours was a nation founded not on tribalism or classism, but one that provides rare and unique opportunity to disagree, to worship, and to express oneself without fear of reprisals or even execution. Freedom and liberty are the birthright of every American, but we've had to fight for it. Maintaining the strength of the American ideal requires courage and constant guard against those who envy what we often take for granted. It requires great love of that past or present service member to preserve the American way of life. Without that love, dedication, and courage to lay it all on the line with their life, tyrants and evil would prevail. Throughout our history and among our veterans, there is but one truth and one absolute. America will stand tall and proud. If I can make any demand today, I would demand my fellow citizens grant our keepers of peace and protectors of our freedoms, our veterans, with the care and respect they so richly and rightfully deserve. Those of us who care to honor America's heroes gather because we are honoring our sons and daughters, our mothers and fathers, and our brothers and sisters who are serving on behalf of everyone in our great country, just like the generations of American patriots did before them. For every single man and woman who has donned a U.S. uniform by virtue of their service and sacrifice, today is their day to stand tall and be recognized by a grateful nation. Today and every day, we must take the opportunity to keep alive the memories, sacrifices, and accomplishments of our nation's veterans. And we must embrace every occasion to educate future generations, the public, and elected officials on the accomplishments of our service members in protecting our values and to support our nation's military and veterans. I hope as we leave here today, each of us will be motivated and inspired by the deeds and accomplishments of our patriots, past and present. I hope this motivation will help lead us into a brighter future, armed with a renewed sense of patriotism and purpose. We must remain committed to a stronger nation and to our veterans. For it is our veterans who have sacrificed and paid the highest price for all of us. Finally, I want to encourage all veterans who have served in combat in a foreign land that are here today to join our VFW post. We exist to support and care for any veteran, active duty member, and sponsor many community activities. As a commander, I am focused on veteran mental wellness and believe our great Indian Trail facilities where we can gather is vitally important as a means to lower the terrible suicide rate. Again, thank you very much to allow me to speak on behalf of all veterans today. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you.
That was great, and we'll all extend our thanks to Don for keeping us safe then and now, and certainly extend our thanks to Commissioner Simpson for bringing him forward for us to hear today. At this time, I would like to introduce Edna Draper of the Waxhaw Quilts of Valor. Edna, you can come up. If you've been in attendance with us before, you know that the mission of the Quilts of Valor Foundation is to cover service members and veterans touched by war by comforting and healing quilts. So that we can maintain social distancing requirements, we will not cover our veterans with the quilts today, but simply hand them to them. And please know, however, our sentiment is still the same. We hope you find comfort and healing as a recipient of one of these wonderful quilts. Edna.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Well, I can speak that way enough. It's been a long time seeing a lot of you, and I'm glad everyone is well and healthy. And it's been about 6 months that I have seen my cohorts that helped me with this venture, and I'd like you to know them all. So would my ladies please stand? These are a few ladies that helped me to do this Quilts of Valor venture. We are all dedicated to honoring our veterans, and we will not forget. I will not forget. We try to do this twice a year. We miss Memorial Day, but we're bringing some today. The ladies has worked diligently at home where they haven't been able to meet at my she shack where I set up for them to come and sew twice a week. But they've been working at home to get us some quilts done and present them to our veterans. And we have 10 today that we'd like to present. And again, we can't do this alone, so when we started the mask production thing, a lot of us made masks for you all. We didn't ask for pay. I have a very abundant stash at my house of fabric. So I made it out of the goodness of my heart, and people ask me how much was I charging for them. I didn't charge anything. I made them, put them in a bag, and hung them on my paper box for them to pick them up. They made donations. I said, one thing you can do is make a donation to help us buy fabrics for Quilts of Valor. And that's what the people did. I made masks. They gave me money to buy fabric. And I thank you all for that. So again, it takes many hands to do these quilts, and donations are a very helpful act toward that. The fabric is not inexpensive. It's time consuming, so we don't get paid to do these. We will not take pay for a Quilts of Valor quilt. So we do ask for donations if you're able to do that. We don't push it on anybody, but it does help us to buy the fabric. So as my recipients that come forth today, my ladies will hand you a bag that you can see down front. And the one that's hanging here is a sample of what we do and what they look like. You will probably never find two of the same pattern that we make. We try to keep them all different. So when they hand you the bag, normally we drape them around you, veterans, but because of the pandemic, we can't do that today. It's a very confident act to
drape it around you. So if you want the public to see your quilt, you may take it out of the bag and hold it up for people to see, and you can fold it back. But I ask you to remain, when the program is done, for me to take a group picture. If you're uncomfortable taking a group picture with your mask on, I will take an individual picture. But I need to let National know what happened on Veterans Day 2020. My first recipient will be Mr. Doug Denning. He was in the Korean War, in the Marines, in 1951 to 1953. Mr. Denning, would you come forward? My second recipient is Terry Settle, was in the Army and the Roy, I'm sorry. Roy Settle was in the Army and the Vietnam War. He was in the 9th Infantry from 1966 to 1968. Roy? Mr. Ernie Hayes was a colonel in the military police in the Army in the Vietnam War. Would he come forward, please? Mr. Jim Wrightbill. He was in the Air Force and he refueled the B-52 bombers in Vietnam and out of the Pacific Islands. Mr. Jim Wrightbill. He's me, he's holding things back up. Mr. Bob Chipley was a medvac in the Air Force in the Vietnam War from 1970 to 1971. Come forward, please. Douglas Wolf was in the Air Force 2003, 2006. Some of you might know him in these events. It should be in one. And we have not forgotten our female veterans. We do have one that accepted our invitation today, even though we had another one that she was very graciously to name 2 other men in her place, but we're still gonna get her. And I won't name her today, but the female recipient is Krista James. She was in the Marines during the Gulf War. There is another gentleman that I'm not sure if he made it here. Did Mr. Scott Inge make it here today? He was supposed to come, but I think something might have happened. Also, our guest speaker, Colonel Don Cagle, was going to be a recipient also. And Mayor Pappas or Lisa will get the quilt to him. So we do have a quilt for him that will be presented to him later. Yeah, Regina. They should have that one.
We'd like to showcase it. This is Don Cagle.
So if there's other veterans out there that we have not presented you with a quilt, we do have a running list. And with God willing, with this pandemic just will vanish and disappear, come Memorial Day, we'll be making another presentation. So veterans, we'd like to wish you a happy Veterans Day. And go get those free meals that the rest of us are offering today. Thank you.
Thank you, Edna, and all of your volunteers. And thanks to all today here for attending, and remember to thank a veteran today and always. Nationwide, more than 20 veterans a day take their own lives. That's pretty sobering. In 2020, the U.S. Army reported a 30% increase in suicides among its active duty troops. No matter how, keep connecting, especially during this time of social distancing and isolation. Sometimes just sitting down to talk to a veteran can go a long way. Tell the veterans directly that you love them, and you mean it, and you appreciate them. That you are here and grateful for their service. Call and email them, reach out online, see if they need help, and offer your hands in friendship. It's up to us to ensure that every veteran feels that his or her service to this country is appreciated by their fellow Americans. They never give up on fighting for our freedoms and protecting us, and we can't give up on that. All of you today, stay safe and healthy out there. God bless America, and God bless our veterans. Thank you very much for attending today.